Thank you and welcome. So therefore, fellow Africans, being on 31st of January 2025, it is on a Friday morning that I'm once again privileged and humbled to bring to you our fifth pillar of the Change for African campaign, which doubles up as our 15th episode since we started these episodes sometimes back. And so therefore, fellow Africans, being on Friday is about climate change. And today our topic of discussion, just generally Africa, we will not have a country to help us exemplify it, but we just have a general view of African state in terms of climate change. So therefore, a very cognitive topic, or a very critical topic that we'll be discussing today, it's about global warming in Africa. And so therefore, let's try and understand first what global warming is. And so global warming, the term refers to a rise in Earth's average temperatures due to human activities, especially the burning of fossil fuels and deforestation. Burning of fossil fuels and deforestation. These are human-driven causes. This is what humans do. And so these are the causes. The greenhouse gas emissions. Examples of greenhouse gas emission have the carbon dioxide, CO2, and then you also have the methane, and this comes from industries, the transportation sector, deforestation, whereby after this happens, when the industries emit those greenhouse emissions, in transport sector, because our vehicles in Africa, most of them, they use the non-renewable energy, so the energy, it does not burn completely, so it's released into the atmosphere, which traps the heat in the atmosphere, causing what we call the global warming. So therefore, rising temperatures. And number two is about deforestation. So when deforestation is whereby we cut trees without replacement, so cutting down trees without replacement, then it means we do not have the released, the harmful gases that are released in the atmosphere or to the atmosphere. They are not trapped, because when you have enough trees, it means now these trees can help us to absorb this the greenhouse emissions. So deforestation is another problem. So CO2 is not absorbed. And then you have industrialization, whereby factories release pollutants that contribute to the greenhouse effect. Factories release those pollutants, and the pollutants, they're just a lot. The CO2, we have the methane, and all these come from factories. So it also leads to that, which is causes also global warming, the rising of temperatures, because the heat becomes too much in the atmosphere, so it cannot escape. The heat cannot escape out of the atmosphere, but so when it remains in the atmosphere, it forms a blanket that now makes the earth, or down the earth, to be very hot. That is what we call global warming. And so impacts of global warming, there is a rising in temperatures. Temperatures have been rapidly rising across the globe, we'll say, but so our focus is in Africa, because we are in Africa and Africa is our business. And so temperatures have been rising all over in Africa, and people actually have been experiencing that. And rising in temperature brings to what we call the environment of working for our people in Africa becomes inconvenient. Most of the younger generations, they go through a lot. In Africa, there is our young people suffer from unemployment. Still, our young people also suffer from the bad weather conditions brought about by the rising temperatures in Africa. And then number two, have the extreme weather. The extreme weather, whereby extreme weather, it means now we have, after the global warming has occurred, it comes with effects like the ripple effects are increased droughts. We have heavier rainfalls. We have what we call the hurricane, those strong winds. So those are effects of global warming, and it's under climate change. So these are issues that are actually facing Africa, and the very dire situations that we need to contemplate on on them and figure out very pragmatic ideas that can help us maneuver and get solutions towards curbing global warming and things to do with climate change. And so as we proceed, we have, there's also another impact of global warming in Africa. There's what we call the impact on agriculture. This is a very critical sector, remember, the agricultural sector. And so when we experience some uncertainties in the agricultural sector, then it means that we are not able to produce enough. And when we are not able to produce enough as a continent, that is when our people are dying because of hunger. That is why our people are not able to, most of the young children are not able to get the diet and the nutrition they need to get in order to sustain and remain healthy. That is why we may raise a very weak generation in Africa if we do not wake up now. And then, so agriculture, as I've said, reduced food production due to unpredictable weather patterns. Will it rain or not? It's just in a state whereby it's a puzzle actually. So we do not understand what we do. But the future of this one is us to embrace the digital ways of doing things, the advanced ways, because we have the potential and we have the ways that we can do that as a continent of Africa. Of 1.4 billion people, with over 60% of this population being a very young generation of under the age of 25. We have the potential, fellow Africans. And so therefore, as we proceed, even coming to the end of this episode today, is also about the Africa's now the vulnerability of Africa here, now the weakness, that where it goes wrong for Africa. This is now what it is. The fact of the matter is here, that all this we are discussing about global warming, actually Africa itself contributes very least percentage to global warming compared to other countries of the world, because Africa as a whole, a continent of 1.4 billion people, only contribute to about or account to about 2% or less than that one to the global warming percentage globally. We have countries like the United States of America, we have countries like the Russians, these are, you have countries like the China and Japan. These are countries that hugely have a very huge contribution to global warming, because these are the most industrial countries globally. They do a lot of industrialization, whereby industrialization, it means now these industries do emit a lot of harmful emissions into the atmosphere. So these greenhouse emissions, or these gases, when they are emitted to the atmosphere, that is when they bring about the global warming, and they do it much more. They do it very good. And so Africa, we are in a state whereby instead of us, even if we want to industrialize the continent of Africa, we can think about now, because we have immense potential in terms of actually running our industries using the clean energy, the going green energy. We have a lot of, we have it, man. We have hydroelectric power. We have rivers across Africa. If we combine all our rivers, we'll be generating a megawatt of about 300,000 megawatts of geothermal, not geothermal, but hydroelectric power. And we have geothermals in Kenya specifically. We have a lot of them. We have wind, it is there. We have sun, we can turn to that, solar energy. We can utilize that and maximize that and optimize it and make sure that we go green as a continent. And that is our way actually. I am very positive that Africa will go and turn and make sure that we adopt and embrace the new strategies of doing things. Let us go green. That even as we industrialize, we are still a little bit behind. But let us not join those people in terms of contributing to the global warming into the world. But let us make sure we lead as an example. Africa is a land of great potential. And so that is what it contributes. Africa is its very least. And then we have droughts, desertification, and rising temperatures threaten food security. That is what we have discussed before. That now Africa is actually Africa contributes the very least, but it suffers much. We are the people who do not have food. We are the people who are just dying because of food. It is very shameful for an African continent to be in that way, because that is not our real position. That is not our real potential. We can do much better than that. And then, so actions to take, we have some actions. So there's only one action, we encourage, starting with me, I encourage that the youth of Africa, we can do this ourselves. So what we do is now to embrace the ways in which we can curb these things with global warming. And one of the very immediate things we can do is planting trees. That is a very immediate thing. I mean, when you plant trees, it means we'll have contributed a very huge percentage in terms of things that are curbing things to do with global warming and climate change or ripple effects in Africa. And so as we contemplate on other things, because things like going green, embracing the renewable energy sources, these are things that mostly it's about governance. And when you say governance, because when you say we want to go green as a continent, it means then the leaders themselves must be visionary and must be visionary about this. They must be loving this. But then you find that in Africa, there's still a problem of the governance system, whereby most of the leaders actually think it in their own perspective that instead of this one, I can have some public funds from the coffers of the public, treasury or where, and then invest in my own green energy using the public money. That is what is happening in Africa in most of the past, because there's what we call the selfish of leaders in Africa. So youth, as we take these quick responses towards curbing climate change and global warming, and we continue to teach ourselves that governance is the software of development in any nation or continent, we now continue to develop that. This is what you need to do. These are the immediate we can do, and then in the future, as we progress, even 10 years from now, we would have learned that governance needs to be changed in Africa, the political system and the governance system need to be changed. So therefore, fellow Africans, being on a Friday, I want to say that our episode has just come to an end. Thank you guys very much for being with us the whole week, and let's do this again next week on Monday, as we dive into governance in Africa and how governance looks like in Africa. And so I did this, and actually there's something we are cooking behind the scenes about having something on weekends, but I'll just inform you that as things continue to get well. But I want to wish you a great weekend, and God bless you. Thank you for being with us. Thank you.